Hi, everybody. Welcome to Okay But Listen, a podcast that's raw and unfiltered that really likes to break through the echo chambers, amplifying the voice of young people, Gen Alpha, Millennials, and Gen Z, and really pushing them to think outside of their political ideology. I'm your host, Mary-Pat Hector. Today, I'm very, very excited about this conversation because I'm all about growing where you're planted. And no one really exemplifies that more than my guest, Nate Jester, who is also running for a very important election coming up, Atlanta City Council, District 11. Nate, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very glad to be here. I appreciate y'all for bringing me on.
Thank you so much. So I'm super excited about this conversation for multiple reasons. But before I start the questions, my first question for you is, when did you realize that housing, well, let's take it back.
Okay.
What made you decide to get involved in the work that you do?
So Southwest Atlanta is, the foundation of all of my success and everything I've been able to do in my life, from growing up, being born and raised in Ben Hill off County Line Road and Campbellton Road, coming through Atlanta Public Schools, graduating from Fickett, Bunch Middle School, and then Mays High School in Southwest Atlanta, getting nominated by Congressman John Lewis to go to the Naval Academy, serving as an officer in the Marine Corps, and then going to get my law degree from Harvard University before moving back. Southwest Atlanta has been, like, this is my village. They say it take a village to raise a child. Like, Southwest Atlanta is my village, and I wanted to move back. I moved back on purpose. I wanted to come back to this community and bring everything that I had gathered back and put it to work. And with this election in November, we got an opportunity to bring some bold and some new and accountable leadership, and an opportunity for our generation to step up and take the mantle and deliver what needs to be done. So I'm excited about it, and I'm passionate about Southwest. It's a great community, and we got some work to do. I'm ready to do it.
Absolutely. And when I think about the work, I think about what we're witnessing right now all across Atlanta, but really all across the country when it comes to housing and affordability.
Yes.
And I know that you're a huge advocate around ensuring that people are housed. When did you first realize that housing and things were just becoming more and more unaffordable, and it was something that needed to be addressed?
So I grew up in Ben Hill, and I remember friends moving away. And so I can remember multiple times families were moving out to Gwinnett County, or they would be moving to Union City or Fairburn or even farther south. For whatever reason, it might be that they was like, we trying to get a bigger home, or we want to buy a home. And it wasn't, obviously when I was a kid, I didn't realize what was behind that. When I got older and, when I was at Harvard working in legal aid and helping tenants with low income evictions, I reflected on my life and reflected on what was causing people to move. And I understood that people couldn't afford to buy a house where we were already in Southwest Atlanta, or they couldn't afford to rent anymore. And so they was making decisions about what was best for their family. And me running for this position, I want people to be able to make a decision to stay in Southwest Atlanta, and for that to be the best decision for those families. So we gotta build some more housing. We gotta get on it now.
Absolutely. Like, what are you seeing right now on the ground in District 11 and the surrounding Atlanta communities when it comes to housing accessibility, what's being done, what's not being done?
Yeah, I'll put it like this. My folks, my parents, like my dad is from rural Georgia. He moved to Atlanta to go to Morris Brown College. My mom moved from South Florida to go to Atlanta University. They wanted to create a better life for themselves. They, got married, moved to Southwest Atlanta in the 70s. And in that same house, they was able to raise me and my sisters.
Yeah.
That path, that dream is becoming more and more out of reach for everybody. It's harder to buy a house. It's harder to rent in the city of Atlanta. It's harder to raise a family in the city of Atlanta. From rising home prices to rising rents to rising property taxes. There's more real estate fraud now. Like, all of this stuff is squeezing people at every age and every stage, making it harder for folks to get into the community and stay in the community. And the reality is, we can't build and maintain strong communities if people can't afford to live and to stay somewhere. And we can't build wealth as a community if people can't afford to buy and to keep their houses. So we are seeing that happen in Southwest Atlanta, across America. Really, it's a problem that has to be addressed at all levels, federal, state, and local. Obviously, I'm running for local office, and there's definitely some tools that we can put in play. I'm excited to put in play to build some houses. We need houses.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that's also impacting not only District 11, but all across the city.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I moved into a brand new apartment. I was the first person in my unit, and a huge skyrise in Midtown.
Nice.
Empty.
Really?
Empty. Well, it wasn't empty at first, right? Like they were really, but then people started to ask themselves, why am I paying $3,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment? That's basically a box just to say that I live in Midtown. And as I'm inside of my very nice high rise in Midtown, living the life, all of the restaurants and stores around me are closing. And then I asked myself, well, girl, why are you spending $3,000 a month for this 1-bedroom in Midtown? Well, you can go back to the suburbs and go back to the east side and live a nice life.
Right.
So, beyond just the vacant high rises that we're seeing or properties, there are also a lot of vacant homes.
Yeah.
How do you think these vacant properties impact the housing crisis across the city of Atlanta or beyond just wasted housing stock?
Right. I was having this conversation with my dad. My dad still lives in District 11 in Southwest Atlanta, and I was talking to him about what he cares about, what's something that he feels strongly about in Southwest. And one of the things he talked about was vacant houses. And we can know some data. We can know some facts. Like we know vacant houses, that's an opportunity for more crime. We know it can affect property values. We know it can dissuade business people from coming and doing business in our community. All of these is problems. But what he was getting at is it don't feel good. Like when we talk about what our community looks like, what it feels like to live somewhere. We want people to have pride in the community. We want people to want to live here. Vacant houses take away from that. And sometimes when we talk about policy and, what needs to be done, I think we can get focused on like the market and the numbers. And sometimes I think we lose sight of this real people. And we want people to be happy and feel fulfilled. And that's a big part of what a community is and supposed to be. And vacant houses, they get in the way of that. And so that's the opportunity to put a family in a vacant house. Yeah, I see that. And it's also an opportunity to build a community and have more pride and feel better about where we live, which I think is very, very important.
Yeah. And, right now as a Gen Zer, a lot of Gen Zers and millennials don't even feel like they could ever even be offered the opportunity to get a home. Like it feels so out of reach.
Yeah.
When you think about just like affordability, like it just feels like it's disheartening.
Yeah.
And like even when you think about it again, like with all of the vacant properties, it's like that is an opportunity for someone who really wants to be like your parents were in the 70s and like raise their families and thrive. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want to do.
Yes.
And so I'm so excited about not only like just your run, but the fact that we need more people who are young, passionate, and energized about just going against the status quo. Like, I ended up being one of the youngest people to run for office in the state of Georgia. I ran for city council, but on the east side, in a community called Stonecrest. So at the time, that was Stonecrest's. It used to be unincorporated Lithonia, for those who don't know. But it was the first election that Stonecrest had ever had.
Wow.
And in my election, everybody was like 70 or 80 years old. But what I am so excited about this year is that whether it's city council, whether it's school board, whether it's Congress, because I'm so excited about Deja's race in Congress right now. If elected, Deja at 25 will be a 25-year-old congressperson. She'll be the youngest person in Congress in the United States. Like, young people are running, and I hope this November young people win in a very, very big way. And so we will be rooting for you. Now, I can't vote for you, Nate. I'm a registered voter in DeKalb County.
I got you.
I will be watching from the sidelines. My dad lives in that community, so I'll make sure he shows up on election day.
I appreciate you.
But I'm interested in knowing, like, how do you feel like the conversation around housing has changed since you started organizing?
Yeah. So I started off in legal aid when I was in law school, working with low-income tenants in eviction defense. And that would look, that practice, it took two forms mostly. We go into court and we fighting against landlords that's trying to do some unlawful things to get people out of their homes. And then the second piece is we would go and meet people in the community through partnerships with nonprofits or community associations to tell people about their rights and help them right there on the scene with their whatever their housing problems were. And when we were planning these community engagement sessions, sometimes we would be talking about how we got to this point and why all the people in the room are Black and brown people. Yeah. And the fact is that you can't have a conversation about housing without having a conversation about racism and segregation and redlining and everything else that got us to this point. And sometimes, or in the past, I've seen that be missing from the affordable housing conversation. We'll just talk about area median income and this number of housing units and, incentivizing developers to build affordable housing. And my response is yes, and we also
need funds that displace our people.
It's yes, and like, how did we get here? These were policy decisions that somebody made. The zoning code is a policy decision. Somebody decided to divide our city this way. Somebody decided to segregate and to desegregate. And so when we talk about solutions, I think it's important that we recognize how we got here. And that might also give us a lot of, a map for how we address the issue effectively and on the scale that we need to address it on. We need to be making big changes, and we got to be bold, and we can't, we can't just talk about it. We got to be about it for real.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So just lighten the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just lighten the moment. I do this segment called Uncancelable.
Okay.
And the reason I do it is because young people love to cancel people, but I just kind of feel like let's end the cancel culture.
Okay.
It was really rooted in the fact that, like, I often feel like when we cancel people so fast, like, we, miss opportunities for growth. But beyond that, like, at the end of the day, we're all just moving through this world at the same time.
Right.
Now, sometimes people, need to stand behind it. But
yeah.
Not all the time. Not all the time. So my question for you is, I'll ask you a few questions, and then you give me your honest opinion on it.
Okay.
And I promise you won't be canceled.
No judgment.
Okay?
No judgment.
So what's your toxic housing habit? So, like, mine is... Or like house habit, like what is something that you just shouldn't do? For me, I like a doom scroll.
Yes.
In the bed in the dark at 2 a.m. and I.
You like on Zillow?
All the day.
You just scrolling?
Yeah. Just because I just understand that, like, why are houses $2 million? I do save them and send them to my friend. But also what I do is recently I've been looking for farmlands that I honestly can't afford.
Okay.
So, like, you said your dad was from, like, rural Georgia. I'm trying to find all the farms.
There you go.
In, like, rural Georgia, but they're, like, $2 million.
Yeah, what would you be growing there?
All of the things. Yeah. I actually have a vertical farm.
Already?
So, yeah, like, literally. Okay. So, maybe when you become the city council person, if you want to open up a community farm, call me.
Okay,
I can
I'm
literally,
with that.
So I have a whole vertical farm, 1,000 crops that we grow monthly.
This is crazy.
Depending on the crops, like, or bi-monthly. But no, seriously. So, I want a farm to where we can have, like, animals and cows and, like, chickens. Yeah. But it's like I'll never be able to have a farm because apparently our good friend Bill is buying up all of the farmlands across the country. So I think he's pricing me out of the game.
Yeah, you need that money.
It's kind of hard to compete against one of the richest men in the world.
For sure.
That's what I do. What about you?
So I do I don't look at farmland, I'll be real with you, but I do look at mansions. And so my wife is from Rhode Island and we have this, I would say, far-fetched dream that we're going to get a beach house one day or in Rhode Island. And so to this day, sometimes I'll just be looking at mansions in Rhode Island. I don't know what I'm waiting for.
What are they, like, what's the...
Millions. Just millions, smooth million. And so... and I would put it like this: the $1 million houses, that's not the ball-in mansion on the beach. Like, you're gonna have to come out like multiple millions to really be able to live the life that in my head I need to be living on the beach. But I still look, and I don't know, maybe one day I'm just gonna keep looking.
I mean, you're a lawyer. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, I think you should have that home.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I mean, at the end of the day, if Nancy and all those other people can live nice, so can you. And I feel like I will one day get that farm. Okay. That's going to be my dream. I told my husband I want a farm. I don't
Yeah.
care how far out we have to go.
Okay.
And then if the world around us crumbles, I'll just send everybody the address and they can like run to my compound.
Right.
So that is my dream. That is my dream. Okay, so what's one phrase you never want to hear in a housing discussion again?
Let the market decide. You know, my approach is let the community decide, not the market decide. The market has led to some bad results. The market has led to the results that we're in right now. And honestly, when people say let the market decide, I feel like we're not being honest about what the market is. The market is powerful people making decisions that affect a lot of other people who don't have the same voice and the same power. So when people say let the market decide, what I hear is let the most powerful, the richest decide, when I actually think it should be the community deciding what gets built and how we house people and how we care for our people. So yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like right now the market is only focusing on building more sky rises in like
And it
Atlantic
is.
Station and not thinking about what's happening,
Exactly.
in other communities
For sure.
around housing. What part of affordable housing conversations are actually making the problem worse?
I think there's definitely a way we can change the conversation. So when I talk to some voters, I'll be real. Sometimes I get some resistance because I'm always going to start talking about affordable housing. When they ask about my platform, I'll talk about housing, how we need more housing, how we need more homes. And sometimes I feel like the conversation about affordable housing, we're missing the human element. And we'll talk about area median income and percentages and all this type of stuff that is true, and I think is important for industry folks to understand. But when we talking to the people on the streets or at their door, I need to be able to make it connect with them.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I say, look, when we talking about affordable housing, we're talking about a ladder that we want people to be able to climb on the way to home ownership. And when we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about those lower rungs on that ladder. I mean, the reality is, when I came out of law school, moved back to Atlanta, I rented a room in a house. My mom, she lived in an apartment off MLK. My dad lived in an apartment. This is the normal flow is you start off in multifamily in an apartment, and then we want people to be able to work their way towards a house. And even when I'm talking to, somebody who's wealthier in the district with their own home, I'm like, did you immediately buy this very nice house, or did you, like everybody else who isn't the super rich on the planet, start off in an apartment? Okay, you get what affordable housing is. That's what we're talking about. We want your daughter, your kids, your son, your family to be able to have that same opportunity to climb to where you are. And so for me, housing, affordable housing, it's about building out that ladder. And the problem right now is when we look at that ladder, some of those lower rungs are missing for a lot of folks in the city and around the country.
Yeah, absolutely. When me and Jada were talking with Hunter about this conversation and addressing, housing and the housing crisis and just the fact that it needs to be addressed.
Right.
Hunter was like, girl, like, what about underground America? And I'm like, girl, what are you talking about, underground America? What is that even? And she started talking to me about the fact that in places like Las Vegas, there are like over 1,000 people living underground because they can't afford to live above ground. And, while it may not be the exact same thing in places like Atlanta, there are still communities and areas where homelessness and houselessness are very evident.
Yes.
Are there any, things or cities or, I think I heard like Tent City in Atlanta, but what are some of those things called in Atlanta that maybe our viewers can I guess, hear or learn about?
Yeah, I think when we talk about homelessness, one of the most important things I want to do is talk about what we're talking about, like explain what we're talking about. Because I think when folks think of homelessness, you have a picture in your head of someone you would see who is like out on the streets without a home, and they're clearly like going through something, right? And I think we miss, an invisible part of the homelessness problem in America. So when we talk about homelessness, we're talking about chronic homelessness, which is somebody who is repeatedly homeless, who is, living on the street for a year or more or multiple times in just a period of just a few years. Like they're multiple times they're homeless. But what goes unseen is the 80% of homeless people, which is people who are experiencing some type of life event which causes them to not be able to stay in their home. So whether that's a eviction or they lose their job, or the market crashes, mental health problem. So think of like the student that's couch surfing. Think of, it's all these other folks who I think get missed from the homelessness conversation, but are also wrapped up in the same conversation that we're having about housing. And so what I want people to know is it's a lot more than just the folks that you might see. And people are really going through things. And as a society, we can't continue to let our people fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and I always say, like, we often place bandages over, like, wounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in knowing what's the difference between addressing homelessness and addressing houselessness and the crisis that we're witnessing right now.
So I definitely think they're linked. I think for homelessness, we have to recognize that it is not just about housing. So, what nonprofits today are applying is the housing first model, which is, we're going to get you in a house because that's step one. Like we can't address all your other needs until we get you into a home. Like this is the most basic is like food and shelter. But beyond that, we need to address all the reasons why somebody is experiencing homelessness, which is going to be, it's going to be a job component to that. Might be a healthcare component to that, mental health component, educational component, or like access to legal services. There's all these other things that people need to be successful. And what the data shows is when we as a community give people the resources that they need, they aren't homeless, they aren't chronically homeless, they aren't even situationally homeless. So what we can do even better is identify folks before they end up on the streets, give them what they need to be successful, and keep people in homes. It's not just about housing, it's about so much more, but housing is a big part of it.
Yeah, so I mean, you often talk about growing where you're planted,
Yes.
and the idea that instead of leaving communities behind, it's important for us to reinvest in them. Mm-hmm. And again, like you are an example of that. Like you are a lawyer who went to Harvard. You could have easily been in Massachusetts or like living life in New York City, like working for big law.
Yeah.
Instead, you're like, I'm going back to Atlanta. I'm going to reinvest in my community. I'm going to support and advocate for my community. What does reinvestment look like when your neighbors are being priced out of their homes? Like, what can we do?
Well, one, we can vote.
Yeah.
Two, we can, as a community, like make the changes that we want to see. We don't have to necessarily wait for everyone else. And I'm not one of the folks that thinks like everybody needs to go join every picket line or everyone needs to,
join the boycott. Now everybody needs to join that boycott.
Yeah. Now there's some.
But yeah,
there's some. But what I'm saying is when we're talking about housing, when we're talking about investing in our communities, it's little things that we can do to help our communities be successful. For example, it's some small businesses in Southwest Atlanta. I go out of my way to go to the coffee shop. I go out of my way to go to the restaurant there. And I think what helps is when you understand or you see the owners of those restaurants and you realize that's somebody who lives in our community. You can talk to them. They really accessible. This isn't some, nameless, faceless shareholder or corporation. These is real folks on the ground with us. And so for me, it's about supporting each other, supporting our businesses, supporting our kids through the school system, and just really, I want the community to be real. Like we really support each other. Like we really believe in this community.
What do you think community-controlled development could look like?
So I think it looks like the community not just being a passenger on what gets built in the community. And this is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I do. So me and a friend of mine from Mays High School, another Naval Academy grad, another veteran, we started a company. We partner with churches and nonprofits to build affordable housing in Atlanta. And we partner with a few churches that's in the city of Atlanta, including one that's in Southwest Atlanta in the district. And then we partner with Invest Atlanta to get some money to explore how we can revitalize this land and put some much needed, mixed income, mixed use developments onto these properties. But that is community-led development. Mm-hmm. It's not about me going and raising a bunch of money, buying some land and putting whatever I want on it. No, like me and my business partner, we went door to door at our first church or our first partner. in that neighborhood and told people, we want to do this. Like, do you support this? What do you want to see done differently? Invited them to a like a community town hall where we could talk about the project. Like, that type of work takes more time, but it is worth it to me because I want people to have a say in how their community is built. I want to have a say in how my community is built. And so we can do it. And this position, city council, is just a platform where I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to partner with the community, with local businesses, with local nonprofits, and we're going to solve these problems together. I'm not going to force anything down.
Well, if you all ever want to get into the health and like the food and like, you know, stop buying toxic meats and chickens, let me know so we can literally build us a farm in the middle of Atlanta.
I'm not playing about this though. I'm not playing about this. I'm for real about this.
A farm in the middle of Atlanta.
I'm for real about this.
We have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
We would build us a farm in the middle of Atlanta
I'm serious.
Give away meat and chicken and stuff that's like not unhealthy for you.
I'm serious about it.
I'm dead serious.
People talk to me about this.
There is literally so many news articles every single day about like recalls, the water, the chickens, the salmon is being created by a lab. And I'm like, at some point we have to get back to our roots. I know my people don't want to go back in the fields.
Right.
But at the end of the day got to end, y'all. We got to save ourselves. So no, listen.
Okay.
I will be calling you. Okay. So this is my favorite card game.
Okay.
And I do this card game during every episode of Okay But Listen.
Okay.
My twin sister created a card game. It is created by a Black woman. It is called Mecca. And so I incorporate it in every episode of Okay But Listen with hopes that all of you all will go and buy one. Actually, Brandon, insert the Mecca link below so that people can go get them one.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. If you buy two, maybe you'll get a discount. I'm going to ask them about a discount code for Okay But Listen. But anyway, going into one of our first questions. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. Do you believe in the American dream?
I feel like the American dream, like what I feel like is we got to own it. So when I think about the American dream, I think about people being able to decide how they want to live their life and be happy. And I think that no one's going to do that for us, especially in a community like Southwest Atlanta. Like we're gonna have to build a dream ourselves. I'm not waiting on the federal government to do it. I'm skeptical that they're gonna show up for the people, and that's putting it very lightly. State government, same sort of thing. I'm not waiting. So at this local level, the community level, we got to build the American dream, build what we want to see. If we want to see a community farm, let's partner with you and let's make it happen. If we want more affordable housing, let's build the partnerships, build the bridges, and let's make it happen. That type of self-actualization, community power, that's the dream to me.
Now, I don't know if Tamara's gonna throw her shoe at me when I ask this question. So I'm gonna tell you, do you know what an incel is?
Involuntary celibate. Is that right?
Do you know like an incel? Like, do you know
like
incel
actually
culture?
know somebody who is that, or?
Well, I would love to have them on my show. I've been telling
I
them
don't
I
think I do, though.
or an incel or somebody.
You want a hotel?
Or somebody, or like
we can
the
find
guy
some hotels
from the side of the street that wears those like purple and gold. Like, I want one on the show. Anyway, we had an episode read like incels and like whatever. And yeah, so this question is: do you believe that a woman? Because they are a podcast culture, and it's like, oh, man versus woman. Da, 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 da. Do you believe a woman can be the head of household?
Do I believe a woman can be the head of the household?
Yes. Yeah, thank you. But
that's
just
easy.
Because you are the head of the household does not mean that your man is not leading you or cannot be a good leader.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
women can lead.
Yeah,
women can lead.
You probably had a lot of well, I don't know about Harvard, but did you have a lot of like Black women who graduated with you at Harvard?
Yeah,
did you see them?
The class is mostly
probably
Black
like
women.
10 people that were Black, but of the 10 Black people that were probably went to school with you.
So the class at Harvard Law is actually over 100 Black people.
Okay.
It's a big school. It's a big school. I'm not saying we running things, but it is a lot of Black folks, and it's mostly Black women. And law school is mostly Black women in the U.S. right now. So Black women can lead.
They're doing it.
They doing it.
Yeah.
They doing it. And what we see is as soon as you take away the barriers from women having power, getting educated, owning their own business, owning property, we see Black women excel, and that's the reality.
So yes, that was a conversation that we had on one of our last episodes. So yes, a Black woman can lead. Maybe Jason can find us an incel or someone to
Why
to
Jason?
help us. Yeah.
Jason know the incel.
Listen, Jason be helping.
Jason know
no,
the.
I
he
don't know.
know
Jason.
the. That's his
So
community.
okay. So, what is the toughest reality check you've ever had?
Ooh. That's a very good question. So what immediately, let me think, toughest reality check I ever had. Hold on, I feel like I had something. I had something for this one.
Okay, let me think
okay.
about mine and then maybe you can
Go.
So the toughest reality check I ever had, okay, so me, I grew up a winner.
Okay.
Okay, my mom always taught me that if you don't win, then you're just a loser. Like, and not winning is unacceptable. So my mom is like we don't lose in this house. So I honestly never lost, and I was always the type of person who never took losing well. Like even to this day, I realize like Mary, you can't always have what you want.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And as I got older, I had to realize that that's not life. You know what I mean? You have wins, you have losses, you have wins, you have losses, but you have to pick yourself back up and like continue to go on. So the toughest reality check for me is like I want to say college when I lost my election. I did not take that loss very well. I literally vowed I would never run for office again. And I never put those shoes back on and knocked on another door. Now the good thing is, I only lost. I feel like the loss was bearable for me to get up out the next day. Because I want to say I lost by less than like 25 votes, right?
Oh wow!
But
that's crazy.
Yeah, like I never lost. I wasn't a loser. That was my first loss. I want to say literally that I can remember in college, and it really took a toll on me to where I vowed like I'm not running for office again. But then also just I just feel like some people were really meant for this. I have respect for anybody who decides to put their name on that poster board and put that yard sign that someone's going to steal.
Yeah.
The opposition's going to steal them.
It's happening.
And they're going to hide them. Yeah, and you're not going to be like, why are my yards like, yeah, it's a lot to deal with.
It's
a lot. And the money.
Yeah.
And the raising of the funds. And I got to compete with you to raise an additional $20K.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why do I have to raise $500,000 just to put a yard sign in somebody's yard?
Right.
It's a lot. But that was a reality check for me. Like, girl, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you pick yourself up and you go again.
This helped me. Yeah.
But no, you're gonna win.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Don't take my thing
no,
for it. Like, this
I
is
hear
just
you.
me. But what about you?
Okay, so as you told that story, I thought of something like a check like that for me. And so one time, I was in the Marines, and we were doing a training exercise, and I was attached to a unit that was about to go to deploy to Afghanistan. So we were helping them train to go to Afghanistan, even though we would be staying. I did not go, so we were staying behind.
I want to tell you. In this moment, because you're no longer a veteran.
I'm not no more.
I am in that age bracket to where like if something were to happen, they would put me on a boat. It's like, and it's just like, but the thing is, I wouldn't pass the physical. But I just don't know if Trump would get so desperate that he would still put me out there on the front lines.
But we ain't gonna do you like that.
I just don't want to go to Iran or like Afghanistan.
Or anywhere.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I would literally they would just have to go ahead and put me in that, what is it called? Alligator Alcatraz or something. Or Guantanamo Bay, because I just don't
You're not gonna do it.
I'm not, so I
you got work to do
went
here.
to Afghanistan. Maybe you would have to give me some tips on how to survive.
You got...
Because I just...
You good.
I'm good. Hopefully.
You good.
Fingers crossed. Now, if they put me on that boat, then I'm just gonna call you and be like, they took me.
Oh, you ain't gonna have no phone. You don't have to worry about it. You ain't gonna
dodge. I'm gonna have to hide.
Okay.
But okay, go ahead.
Okay. So we doing this like planning exercise, and we're going over I won't even get into the details. We're going over the strategy for like what's about to happen with this operation, and during this planning meeting, it's a bunch of computers and like high-ranking folks around. We talking about the plan. I stand up and I'm like, I'm being confident, right? Because I know I'm right on this, right? Like y'all done messed this little piece of the plan up. I stand up, I'm like, hey, this piece is, this is off. Like we won't be able to do that for these reasons. And I sit back down. Like that's it. And later on, somebody pulls me to the side and is like, "Hey, what you said was right, but that isn't great leadership. Like a great leader needs to solve the problem. Like you can't just be out here looking at problems, pointing out problems, which I think a lot of folks do because it's easier to do that. And we all got eyes and we all got feelings. We can see what's wrong, and it's okay to tell people what's wrong. But what a leader needs to do is figure out how we're going to solve it. And so I always took that lesson with me. Like I can't just see problems in this community, in this country, and just say, that's a problem. Like, or just go tell somebody, you see all these problems? Like, no, we need to do something about it and work together to make it happen. And that was a big reality check for me because it was a humbling experience. I put it like that. And bro was going in a little bit when he was talking to me about how I needed to step up and be a better leader. But I have carried that with me ever since then about what it means to be a great leader.
Okay, I'll ask you one more.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back into it. Okay. Who do you think has the best diss track ever? This could be like back when you were in middle school and this was like a diss track that was just like, this is it. Or like, I don't know. We could go as far back. Is there like an Atlanta diss track ever? Was there like ever like an Atlanta thing?
There was like that Gucci and Jeezy beef.
Oh God,
that was going on.
I think I remember that. But like, do you know of a diss track that you can immediately think of and just be like, I remember that one?
And what immediately popped in my mind was Ether by Nas. Like
Okay.
I had that album, and that immediately popped in my mind as like a solid diss track.
Okay.
Then obviously, the Kendrick and Drake beef is
That's the most recent.
That's a very recent one, and then that the diss track Kendrick put out, like it was huge. That's the biggest diss track I know. But Ether used to be on the radio. Like I remember listening to it all the time. So that's what, not to date myself, because now I feel like y'all know I grew up in the '90s. But yeah, like that was like the diss track that I remember.
Other than like Kendrick, because Kendrick Lamar is the most like This is the most recent for me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say Kendrick too, just because
Okay.
I feel like it was just the most recent and most prevalent in the moment.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get into like when policy meets reality.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most effective housing policy that most people have never heard of, but probably experienced?
Oh, probably experience that makes it a little tough. I would say a community land trust. That's what
Okay.
immediately popped out when you said that.
Because people probably are like, what the hell
What
is
is
a
that?
community land
What does that
trust?
mean? How does that help me? What does that have to do with affordable housing? So a community land trust is when a nonprofit, normally a nonprofit owns land, and then that nonprofit sells like houses on the land that it owns. And so when people buy a house, you're just buying a building, not the land under it. One, that makes the property taxes cheaper, that makes the home cheaper, and it ensures, because the land is owned by that nonprofit, that house stays affordable and only gets sold into the affordable market moving forward. So for some folks who are living in affordable homes, they probably live in a community land trust, or they may have been buying a piece of a community land trust, and I think that is a great model for how we maintain permanent affordability, and not just a 10-15 year affordability through a community benefits agreement or through some type of agreement with a developer. We can keep it permanent. And then there's also, with the community land trust, there's a piece where the owners of the houses have a say in the governance of the land trust. So you're not just giving people somewhere to stay, you're giving them power over their community. I think it's very powerful. And I think it's something that we will hopefully see expanded. And if I'm elected, I'm definitely going to be supporting the expansion of community land trusts in Atlanta. There are multiple operating already.
Okay, that's so cool. I think right now when you think about like housing and unaffordability and everything going on in the world right now, it just feels very overwhelming. And I think housing is something that feels like a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, how can we measure success around housing because it feels so overwhelming? Like, what's something that we can say, you know what, if this is done, then we can say that this is a success?
Yeah. I think one of the things we can look at is in the city of Atlanta. I'm going to talk about two big points. So one is there's a community development. It's a CDFI. I'm forgetting on what the acronym stands for. Community Development Financial Institution called Reinvestment Fund, and they put out a market value analysis. And I like the products that they put out because they give you like a visual representation of housing in Atlanta, and so you can see the unaffordability in color, like in a map of Atlanta. You can see like, dang, Buckhead is way more expensive than the south side of the city, or this is much more affordable than this other area, and like what's happening, and that is a powerful way to represent like what's going on as far as affordability and housing in the city.
What's one principle that you refuse to compromise on when it comes to addressing the housing crisis?
Community-led development. The community has to have a say in what gets built, where it gets built, when it gets built, and I won't compromise. The community is going to be involved in every housing development thing that I put forward as a city councilman.
And what gives you hope about solving some of these community issues like housing, even when the numbers, or like I was saying earlier, things just feel a little overwhelming?
We got all the talent that we need in the city of Atlanta and in Southwest Atlanta. Like lawyers, doctors, working people, construction, like whatever the industry is, we got people in Atlanta that can do it. Let's get everybody to the table and let's get to work. It's about taking action, not just talking about it. And it's about building the relationships that we need to be successful. And I'm ready to do it. Day one.
Thank you so much, Nate. Where can our listeners learn a little bit more about your campaign or get more information around housing and be able to support the work that you do?
Absolutely. You can find out more about our campaign at votenatejester.com. We're also Nate Jester ATL on all socials. So you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nate. I really appreciate it. For all of our listeners, come back and see me, not next Monday, but the Monday after that on all podcast platforms. Thank you so much for joining OK But Listen, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks.